Welcome everybody. Let's talk about fast-acting insulin. It's an amazing tool in the diabetic toolbox, but it's so heavily overused nowadays. People use it for everything. And I don't think that was the original intention of its makers. So there are two things about the fast-acting insulin that are remarkable about it. Number one, it starts acting immediately. Within 20 minutes, you get your sugar dropping. And that's just amazing, right? Because every once in a while, you eat something that is a little faster on your blood sugar, and you have to cover it somehow, and that's where insulin comes in. Fast-acting insulin comes in. That's number one. And then number two, it's just great not to have to inject insulin an hour before a meal. And if that was all there was to fast-acting insulin, I would be all up for it for every single meal, every single injection. But there's also the other side of it, which is the fact that it stops acting in about 4 hours. And most of its action is actually concentrated in the first hour, hour and a half. And so if you look at the insulin graph, how much insulin, how potent the insulin is on your body as the time goes on, it will look something like that. Right? You'll have this big spike in the beginning, and then in the next 2 and 3 hours, the action just sort of tapers off. And so when you think about that, you realize that, well, if the insulin graph is like this, the glucose graph is gonna be like that, right? Because that's the idea. The insulin should roughly correspond to your glucose graph. And then when you put these two facts together, why in the world would your glucose graph look like that? The only way to make it look like that is if you're not eating healthy, if you're not eating the right diet for your diabetes. That's the only way to make your graph spike like that. Because if you're eating meat and you're eating leafy greens, this will never happen. You'll never need to cover that. So, in a way, whenever you inject fast-acting insulin, Novolog, Humalog, that's like admitting right there that you just cheated and you're not doing your job. And so when it comes to blood sugar control, fast-acting insulin is amazing to bring your sugar down when for some reason you go really high, or you're at a restaurant and you forgot to inject your insulin an hour before. But other than that, really, it's your enemy.